Greetings, dear friends. We are sincerely glad to welcome you again. And today we will talk to the esteemed Igor Mikhailovich Danilov.
Hello.
Igor Mikhailovich, I would like to begin our conversation today with a letter from one of our viewers who is actively engaged in informing about the Creative Society project. He made informing about the Creative Society a priority in his life. And in his letter, he writes that certainly sharing such information about the Creative Society brings him great joy, and he sees a positive response from people and a high level of efficiency of what he is doing. There are already certain achievements and a certain professionalism in it, and he sees that there is still a lot of work to do because we actually need to inform all 8 billion people. So he is asking the following question. In the videos, I often hear from the esteemed Igor Mikhailovich that it is important to share the truth with people. Does informing about the Creative Society mean what the esteemed Igor Mikhailovich is talking about?
Of course it does, my friend. I believe you can feel it yourself, and many other people among us feel it. But still, one shouldn't mix Allatra and Creative Society. Allatra is for those people who strive for God with their entire soul, and it is the most important thing for them. It is their main goal. While for the rest of people, there is the Creative Society. We can discuss this topic for a long time, but let us simplify it. Let's consider what Allatra is and what it gives, okay? Literally, in a few words, Allatra is a path to God. A wide and straight path. Creative Society is the same path, but this path has to be built. I'll explain. Here we come across something interesting, you know? The path to God is Allatra. Creative Society is also a path to God, but it doesn't exist yet. Why? Many people may have a question, right?
Why are these paths so different? Who are they for?
Let's explain. As of today, the consumerist format is akin to huge mountains. It's not even stones on the road. These are indeed huge mountains on a person's way to his home. After all, every person's true home is the spiritual world, and in order not to become a subpersonality, not to get into hell, a person must actually come to God. However, there are a lot of unbelievers, or I would say ignorant people, who do not know that the spiritual world really exists. Unfortunately, they are not only among lay people, but even, let's say, among ministers of various religions. This is true. If they knew that God exists, believe me, the world would have changed a very long time ago. Over 2,000 years or 1,500 years, we would have already built the Creative Society long ago. But instead, we people, being guided again by private interest or the interest of small groups of individuals, and among other things, using God as a cover, we have erected mountains on the way to God. That is why the Creative Society is a wide and direct road to God. Basically, it is the same Allatra, but there is a difference. Allatra exists, while the Creative Society still needs to be built, right?
This is so interesting.
I see. I've confused you even more.
No, not at all.
In his time, the Prophet said that mercy is not only your charity to those in need. Mercy is when you remove even a stone from the road in front of a walking person, right?
Remove an obstacle from a road of a believer.
Of course, while we are hindered by mountains, not even just stones on the road, but mountains. Therefore, it is difficult to build the Creative Society. Well, it is difficult only at the first stage, the stage of informing. Why? Because there are a lot of people who exist in the consumerist format according to all its laws, and it's hard for them to break out of this slavery, to throw off these shackles and breathe deeply. It's really hard. Even in their consciousness, people are unable to get rid of this consumerist slavery. There is no other way to call it. Meanwhile, the Creative Society is like an impossible dream for them. Or, let's just say, For many ordinary lay people, creative society is like another lie and deception, like someone's aspiration for power. They actually think this way. It is really so.
Currently, the biggest problem is the problem of accepting this truth, Igor
No,
Mikhailovich, because we have
no.
become so accustomed to taking pills of those lies throughout
You
our
see, a
lives.
person cannot accept the truth right away. I agree
It
with you.
scares
The
him.
creative society is a catharsis of the entire humanity.
Oh, how beautiful.
There is no other way to call it. Here we should really tell the truth and admit this truth, that we live in a world that is worse than hell. It's a world where we have ceased to be humans. I'll give you a simple example. Let's take the terrible event in Turkey and Syria. So what? Did the whole world go there to help? A simple question.
There is sort of passive sympathy.
Absolutely right. Wars. So what? Does everyone stand for resolving conflicts peacefully and terminating them, or, I would say more correctly, preventing those bloody events? We have wars going on all the time, and for many millennia, we've been killing each other for the sake of someone's interests. Isn't that true? Not only do we kill each other, but we also die for someone's interests, so that someone would live better than we did. I mean, if we think about that, there should really be catharsis. There should really be an awareness of all humankind, of what we have built and what kind of a world we are living in. Again, we have a very good stimulus, the Cerberus, and this is no longer a joke. Many people deny it, saying that the climate is not changing, everything is fine. Well, that's already ridiculous. On the 22nd of April, the forum was held, and on the 23rd of April, the sky shone with a red glow in many countries. That's what we discussed at the forum. This indicates that our planet's magnetic field has drastically weakened, and a harsh radiation is already reaching lower layers of the atmosphere, which actually causes a red glow. At the forum, it was said that this is the black spot sent to all of us by the climate Cerberus, but we continue to disbelieve in it. You see, we perceive it all like everything will pass, everything will be fine. Just look at how much we've been immobilized and to what extent we've been actually turned into slaves. I mean, someone is supposed to decide for us, someone has to save us, someone has to live instead of us, but in this case, someone also eats instead of us. There's no other way to put it, right?
Yes, exactly.
As for starting to live truly in freedom in the creative society, fear arises in us along with misunderstanding. And again, disbelief. Many people start thinking that the creative society is someone's project, that someone wants to get to power. Someone wants, again, yet another group of globalists want to conquer the entire world. It's another attempt to ascend the Olympus. I have a simple question for such people. Who wants to ascend the Olympus? A simple question. In fact, the first thing that is said in the creative society is, all people are equal. No one has power over a human. A human is the power. And the issue is already eliminated. You see, people do not see this point, that everyone is equal, that all power belongs to the people. They totally disregard it. That's how consciousness works. What is happening to the climate? People disregard it too. Why? They don't want to see that. It's a defensive reaction. So imagine, through these mountains of resistance, people's inner resistance, being in slavery, people do not want to become free. Yes, they aspire, they talk about it, they fight for it. But they don't want to do it. This is a paradox, you see? This is indeed a paradox. And that's where I would say the deepest catharsis of all humanity is needed. To realize who we are, what we are, where we have come, and what we have come to. And again, there has to be an understanding of what the creative society is. If all this is in place, we will even move mountains apart. How can they not move, right?
It's an incredible parallel, Igor Mikhailovich. Just as one cannot enter the spiritual world with lies, in the same way, in this case, one cannot build a creative society based on lies.
This is really so. If a
It's a
person,
society solely of truth.
of course, if a person embarks on the spiritual path, the first rule is to be absolutely honest with yourself. Otherwise, you will not enter heaven. If you lie to yourself or try to justify your vile deeds, how can you enter heaven, my friend? If on the one hand, you want to be among the worthy, but on the other hand, you want to be a slave of shaitan. Since you want to be a slave of shaitan, it means you are tied to shaitan himself by these shackles. And here's a simple question. How will you enter heaven together with shaitan? In no way. Therefore, catharsis is a very important component on the spiritual path. When we try to perform some rituals, to be guided by, to go deep into prayers, and try to become better, even without understanding who we are, then I have a simple question. Who are we improving? Our own consciousness. It will not improve. It may yield, it may calm down, but it will still attack. Our consciousness is not our own. And until a person understands that, which is also very difficult, when you are used to living under the dictation of consciousness, when it manipulates and controls you, when it...
There is a thirst for power.
Of course, it craves power, and you just said, thirst for power. But let's be honest, why are there people who are against the creative society? Let's call things by their proper names. Do you know, friends, that almost everyone in this world, with the exception of those who are really on the spiritual path, or truly free people, as for the rest, almost all of them, if they failed to achieve power in reality, then they achieve it in their minds. This is true. They rule the whole world almost every day, or even many times a day. They advise presidents, they run corporations, while remaining while some are in fact hobos in the literal sense of the word. But in their minds, they are the masters of the world. El lives in everyone, in one form or another. This should be known. Exactly those people who are so much engrossed in the virtual reality of their consciousness, when they hear about the creative society, it scares them, because they won't be able to attain power. Over whom? Over people. While some of them actually become sociopaths to such an extent that they simply hate the freedom of people. How's that? They dreamed of ruling the whole world, ruling all the people, or some group of people. Well, that's true. Tell me, friends, who among you has not thought of ruling over a small group of people, over a country, over the world? Who among you has not talked to presidents or given them advice? Who among you has not used your consciousness, your position, in thoughts, in dreams, or some, I don't know, superpowers in order to seize power and restore order? Many will begin to justify themselves. We actually thought about that with an intent to restore order and make the world a better place for everyone. Right?
Secret dreams.
My friends, maybe we should stop dreaming. Maybe we should build this world, not in our heads, not in fantasy, but in reality, in this world for everyone, for future generations. Why don't we think about the seventh generation? Why do we think only about our own self, here and now? A simple question. What hinders us? Do you know what hinders us? Lies in the head. That's what hinders us. Exactly, these lies. This shaitan holds many people. But when people go through this understanding, this inner catharsis, in relation to that very creative society, they understand that this is realistic. And for that, we should merely inform people who all want to live in such a society, you see? And that's the paradox. Inwardly, a person, after all, we've conducted a huge number of surveys, and people really want to live in a free, beautiful and developing world where there are no wars, where there is no violence, where there are no lies and deception, where a human being is free, fed, clothed, and shod. He doesn't have to fight as now in the consumerist format, excuse me, for the rain not to drip on his head, for not freezing in winter, you see? And in general, in order not to starve. After all, a person today is in a constant struggle. He thinks only about a piece of bread, and many people, a great many of them, think about paying off loans and so on. Is this life? Do you evolve here? A simple question. Or do you survive? There's a difference between survival and evolution.
Here we unfortunately lose to Satan, to Shaitan.
Of course we lose. And why do we lose? Because we are liars. And if we won't understand that, besides, we are fantasizers. All of us, people. Do you know why? Because we fantasize a lot in our heads instead of going ahead and doing it. Do you know what the difference is between those who have achieved and seized power and those who dreamed of it? The first ones have less fantasies. They just go ahead and do it. They crave power. They want to rule the world or people. That's it. They move up the career ladder. Yes, not everyone succeeds. Most of them just don't make it. But those who go, they succeed. At least some of them. As for dreamers, yes, they remain to fantasize in their dreams because it's easier, but they still cling to power.
It turns out that the creative society is a society of honest people.
Honest, decent, and, first and foremost, true people. People who care not only about their own lives, although about their own lives as well. I would say first of all about their own lives, and then about their descendants and about all people. And this is right. That's how it should be. Every human being should have an instinct of self-preservation. After all, we are now standing on the threshold. Excuse me, not on a very good one. Our future. If we don't build the creative society or don't solve this problem in some other way, I mean the climate problem, then we will have the most serious problems that cannot be solved in any other way.
I would like to touch upon the importance of honesty. The point is that I was very touched by a comment of one of our viewers who said that when she sees an honest person in front of her, she herself does not want to put on any masks, and she feels this freedom in herself, first of all from Shaitan. And one understands that in the creative society, people certainly have a great chance to feel this true inner freedom.
I would say not only freedom, but real life.
Yes, exactly.
But it's even hard for people to imagine it. Why? Because there is no experience of it. And this is true. You can imagine how to rule the world. You can imagine how, I don't know, you became a superhero or someone else, anyone, everything you saw in cartoons, everything they tell you every day on TV, and you encounter it in your life, but you cannot imagine what the real, free world is. Yet, it existed. Yes, as a prototype. But it existed, and the Prophet Muhammad, the best of people, built it. But we didn't preserve it. We, as people. And that's our problem. Why? Because we strive for power. We don't want everyone to be equal. We want exactly us to be at the peak of this world. But as a rule, others come to this peak over our heads. Well, isn't that so?
Yes, it is.
Meanwhile, we remain in the mud, down below, with shackles on our feet, on our hands, and on our tongues, because we cannot even say anything against those whom we lifted up. Isn't it funny to you, friends? When anyone does to you whatever they want, it's enough just to rise above you. And you don't want the creative society. Some people say that the creative society means someone's aspiration for power. Of course, your aspiration first and foremost. If you strive for power, well, become the president of the world along with the entire world.
Fulfill the dream.
Of course, at least this way.
That is in your head.
If you go through power, become the ruler of this world, but together with everyone. And understand that you are the president and all the rest are presidents. And treat them like presidents, then they will treat you like a president. After all, it is easy and simple, right?
Igor Mikhailovich, when spreading the truth, indeed, when spreading information about the creative society, A huge motivation, of course, is probably to see the results. You've done the work and you always want to somehow find out what's the result? Where's the response from that?
I agree with you. When we build a house, we have laid the foundation. We see it, we understand that we should erect walls. We have erected walls, and we understand that they are already there. But when we are building the creative society, in this
You
case,
never know where you'll get a response.
let's say in plain language, you work tirelessly. After working all night, without getting enough sleep, you go back to work. You want to see the result for what and for whom you are working, right? But you don't see it. And that disappoints a lot of people. But I'll say the following, friends. We shouldn't relax until we build the creative society. Until you go out in your city, my friend, and see that the creative society logo is everywhere. It means there is something to work on. It means there are a lot of people who lack understanding, who are stuck in the idea of power, their own dominance, or self-abasement, whatever. People who are lost in their own consciousness. And yes, we have to convince them. Yes, we have to show and tell them that the creative society is really what the Prophet Muhammad spoke about. It is really that very Medina charter. It is the place where all humanity can live, like in Eden. And people should understand that. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear one person. But they will hear another one. The time will come, and everyone will hear. But only if we continue working. Whereas if we stop, that's it. Nothing will work out, friends. And we shouldn't rely on anyone either. Many people do not understand why. For example, after all, indeed, the creative society is that beautiful world which the prophets spoke of. Why are there no priests and clergymen in building the creative society? But I will say there are priests and clergymen. Yes, not many. Yes, not every one of them understands, but it's already a start. As for the rest, of course, I agree with those people who are outraged by this and outraged from the bottom of their hearts. Why? Because the priests of all religions and denominations should have run ahead of us and clear the way for you and us, whereas they are like an anchor behind us. This is really so. Why? Because they do not understand the essence. They live by other values because it is them, precisely them, who are to blame for the fact that wars have been going on for thousands of years, simply because they listened to their own consciousness, as many of us listen to ours nowadays, and therefore they do not understand the creative society. Although everyone wants to live in it, look how simple everything is, and we shouldn't blame them. They are merely people, ordinary people, just like everyone else. But the time will come, and they will understand too. You know, I would compare the creative society with... Let me tell you more simply, many people are indignant as to why we have shown Freemasons. Those are Freemasons after all. Friends, what do you actually know about Freemasons before you start talking about them? Just so simply, okay? For many people, their knowledge ends with merely what they've seen on social media, from people just as knowledgeable as themselves. But everywhere, it was said that Freemasons are bad. Did you hear what the Freemasons said at the forum? Here's the answer for you. Because they aspired to that too. Yes, they want power, just like everyone else. But who doesn't? Doesn't your consciousness want power? It does. So are they any worse? Don't the priests of your religions want power? Or what? They do. That's why we've been killing each other for millennia. Don't our rulers want power or what? They do. So who doesn't want power? So are Freemasons actually worse? Or are they better among those who want power? Anyway, some people reject Freemasons, others reject certain religions. Well, how come we join the creative society together with representatives of a different religion? Still, others reject someone else. But I'll put it simply, friends. Imagine, our ship is sinking, and it is indeed sinking. You are left overboard, and there is only one boat with Freemasons, priests of various religions, whoever, representatives of minorities whom you cannot stand, and you only have two choices: to get aboard the boat with everyone else, to remain alive and eventually live happily and nicely, or not to get aboard and stay in the cold ocean, alone, during the storm. The creative society is a boat during the storm for everyone, for all of humanity, and we need to understand and realize that. First of all, this boat is for everyone. I mean, we are all different. We have Freemasons, we have representatives of various sects and religions, murderers, thieves. Well, we are all people. This is our world, and it is one big boat. So all of us have to find common ground and start from a clean slate. Then there will really be peace and order. But this requires the catharsis of all humanity. We need to reconsider the way we live, and that's what we started with that very catharsis. And now, I hope you understand why a catharsis is needed, so that we can let ourselves get aboard this boat and accept all people, just like they will accept us. What makes you think that you are better than others? That you are worthy to be in this boat, while Freemasons, or excuse me, people of other skin color are not? How? Or in what way are they worse than you? A simple question. And here, we need the catharsis of each and every one of us, including all of humanity. Then we'll succeed in building what the greatest of people, the Prophet Muhammad, actually built as a prototype, as an example. I'm talking about the Medina Charter. After all, he succeeded, and he showed everyone what the world should be like when people of different religions and nationalities live together in peace and harmony. All we have to do is to take this as an example, build this all over the world, across the globe, and finally become one united civilization to remove all this nonsense. What I also want to say, 99.9% of all your anger, hatred, and everything else is not yours. It is something that was imposed on you since early childhood, starting from your parents. And on your parents, it was imposed by their parents, plus the media, your friends, acquaintances, who in just the same way have been programmed by those who divided this entire world. Just look, God is one. Yet we have lots of religions and numerous different branches. Why? Their wallets are different. Whereas in the creative society, a wallet is not required. And it will be funny when everyone understands that God is one. And only those will stay in religions who love God and strive for Him. And this is really so. Wow. All those random people who came into a religion only to avoid physical work, but to live better than others, they will all fall off because they will live as comfortably as everyone else. They won't have to deceive people, you see? And then, when these mountains are destroyed, they will have plenty of time on the wide road to realize that they are human beings. And when they don't have to deceive people and go against their own hearts, hiding behind fairy tales, different shows and performances in order to swindle someone for 10 cents, excuse me, they will be able to realize that they are human beings. And in fact, we can create the conditions for even priests to enter paradise. And that is something worth thinking about, friends. Remember one more thing, my friends. You shouldn't be disappointed in people. You shouldn't be disappointed in each other. And you shouldn't give up. Remember, God is not disappointed in us yet. So who are we to be disappointed in each other? On the contrary, we should roll up our sleeves and go ahead, and we will succeed in everything. We shouldn't be sad about acting without seeing the results. Today, each of us volunteers as like a sower. Everyone is walking and sowing the truth, telling and informing everyone about the creative society. We shouldn't look back. Some are walking and throwing seeds in the frozen soil. Some are walking and throwing seeds in the heat and drought. But someone, the third or the 10th of us, will pass, and he or she will be able to put their seeds about the truth, about the creative society, into a fertile soil. Eventually, the day will come when all of us will see our planet beautiful, green, and free. Free from stupidity, free from shaitan in our heads, and free from human slavery. And I think this is worth the effort, because this is what the prophets commanded us. Meanwhile, we should start, friends, simply with love for one another. That's the best thing we can do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Igor Mikhailovich.
Thank you, friends. Peace be with you.